When Evil Dead 2 hit the big screen in 1987, it was a creative explosion, a perfect blend of Sam Raimi's slapstick energy and high-octane over-the-top violence that redefined the horror genre. But while the theatrical cut became a cornerstone of cult cinema, the film's journey to the small screen tells a completely different and much weirder story. After the original Evil Dead, Sam Raimi's next picture was a film that covered all types of different genres. The film was Crimewave, released in 1985, and it was majorly unsuccessful.
One of its many problems was it didn't know what it was about. It was a comedy, it was a drama, it was an adventure picture, it was a love story, and it turned out to be none of the above. What did you intend it to be? I wanted it to be the ultimate picture of entertainment. It'd thrill, chill, make the audience laugh, cry, scream. They screamed for their money back. They placed my actors. They threw Bruce Campbell out of the lead.
I didn't audition for Evil Dead, so I did a screen test for Crimewave. I'm screen testing for my own movie? I'm one of the producers. What's happening here? So I did a big screen test. They shot it in 16 millimeter, and the word came down. Bruce Campbell is not going to star in this movie.
After Crimewave, Raimi, Tappert and Campbell thought their careers were over, until an idea emerged. What if Ash didn't die at the end of The Evil Dead? Because the original film was successful, it only seemed right to make a sequel. It was Stephen King who gave The Evil Dead that iconic quote.
Stephen King, author of Carrie, said, "Evil Dead is the most ferociously original horror film of the year."
King didn't just provide a quote, he practically paved the way for the sequel to happen. While filming his directorial debut, Maximum Overdrive, King learned from a crew member that Sam, Rob and Bruce were hitting a wall with financing. Because he was such a fan, King stepped in immediately, personally calling legendary producer Dino De Laurentiis to insist that he back the project. That one phone call changed everything.
The second Evil Dead, Rob Tappert, the producer, walked on set before we had filmed a frame and goes, "We're in profit!"
It's safe to say that not only did Sam, Rob and Bruce owe Stephen King a huge thank you, but so do fans of this franchise too. Thanks, Stephen. Now, in order for Evil Dead 2 to work for television, the Renaissance Pictures crew went back to the cutting room floor. They pulled out nearly 26 minutes of total padding. While the actual television broadcast hit that 90-minute mark, modern fan restorations have compiled every scrap of this footage into a composite cut that runs roughly 1 hour and 37 minutes. While this version of Evil Dead 2 remained hidden in most territories, the extended cut became a staple of Mexican television in the 90s. Known locally as El Despertar del Diablo Part 2, these broadcasts are the primary reason this unique piece of horror history was preserved at all. Now let's get into the footage itself. Just to be clear, I've handpicked the additions that I feel are the most noteworthy and distinct. I'm not going in chronological order, instead I'm focusing on the specific, extended scenes that stand out as the most compelling changes to the film. Right from the beginning, the presentation is different. The opening credits are totally overhauled, featuring the names of the cast superimposed over billowing smoke, an analog video effect that screams 1980s television. But the best part is the caption that follows, severely edited for television. It's a hilarious self-aware wink from the filmmakers, and they even bring it back for a full 7 seconds over the very last shot of the movie. Then there are the additions that try to ground the characters in ways the theatrical cut never had time for. A great example of this is the sequence where Ash and Linda are dancing. This extended sequence gives us a much longer look at their relationship and creating a lingering romantic atmosphere right before the nightmare begins. After Linda's decapitation, which of course we don't see, what we do see however is Ash return to the cabin and attempt the unthinkable, burn the Necronomicon. Predictably, the book refuses to catch fire. It's a moment of sheer desperation that predates a very similar scene in Fede Alvarez's 2013 remake, though it's unlikely the remake took direct inspiration from this obscure TV edit. Following this, we see a lingering shot of Ash weeping over Linda's necklace, a scene that I feel is redundant since a nearly identical emotional moment happens later on in the film. The sequence finally ends with Ash wandering deeper into the woods, leading directly into the iconic evil POV shot. Of course, you can't talk about this version without the weird stuff, like the cereal scene for example, where Ash is driving the Delta and begins eating from a box of cereal, and then all of a sudden he begins choking on the free toy which was inside the box. Or the infamous squirrel scene where a possessed Ash literally bites the head off of a squirrel in the woods. This leads me to talk about the extended workshed sequence. In the theatrical cut, Ash's descent into insanity after Linda's attack is fast paced, but for TV, the camera lingers. In the theatrical cut, we don't exactly see Linda's death, we just see the shadow of Ash carving into her head with the chainsaw, and I think that's powerful enough. But when you can't even show that on television, you're forced to linger on Ash losing his mind over what he's just done. It makes this scene more disturbing as we slowly begin to see the decline of the character. Speaking of Ash losing his mind, this brings me on to the laughing scene, an iconic moment from Evil Dead 2, which actually gets quite a massive extension here. We see new shots of books, and even the Kandarian dagger, joining in on the hysterical laughter. There's a moment where Ash wipes away his tears of laughter, pauses for a moment, and begins laughing again hysterically. I think that's one of my favourite moments from this extended sequence. Even an owl puppet pops into frame. But all of this turns the quick, manic energy of the original into a long, drawn-out nightmare. There's also a new wide shot after Jake and Ash trap Henrietta in the cellar. Annie goes to check on Ed, who has been knocked out, and Bobby Joe is seen gagging from Henrietta's eyeball flying into her mouth. The camera then pans down to the tape recorder and lines of dialogue from Professor Noby translate to "Whatever I have awakened with this book will certainly come for us," a clear callback to his line in the first movie where he says,
"Whatever I have resurrected through this book is sure to come calling for me."
As we head into the climax of the film, the edits get a little bit stranger. After possessed Ash attacks Annie, rather than just picking up Linda's necklace, which just so happens to be on the floor, in the shape of a skull, a clear reference to the original movie, this TV cut interjects dreamlike flashbacks of Ash and Linda as he holds the necklace. These flashbacks are unnecessary, I feel, since we already know Ash grieves for Linda every time he picks up that damn necklace. Now let's go back a few scenes, because here's the ultimate irony. By cutting the gore, the TV censors actually fixed a continuity error in the film. In the theatrical cut, Jake's death scene triggers a massive blood flood that leaves Annie drenched, only for her to appear clean in the next shot. Because this TV version removes the blood flood entirely, Annie stays relatively clean, making the sequence actually flow more logically than the uncut original. But, without a doubt, the most striking addition to this specific cut of Evil Dead 2 is the vortex montage. During the finale, as Ash is being swirled through the vortex, the TV cut inserts a rapid-fire sequence of nearly 200 images flashing inside the portal. If you freeze frame the chaos, you'll find everything from candid personal photos of the crew at the 1981 premiere, alongside some behind-the-scenes photographs from the Super 8 days. It's a psychedelic meta-style wink from the filmmakers that only exist because they needed to stretch the runtime by a few more seconds. Today, Evil Dead 2 is regarded as one of the best horror sequels of all time, the film that gave birth to the splatstick genre and turned Ash Williams into a legend. Seeing it through the lens of this weirdly expanded TV cut only proves that when you strip away all the gore, Sam Raimi's madness still shines through. But I want to hear from you. Have any of you ever managed to track down a bootleg or a recording of this specific severely edited cut? Does the extra footage make it a better experience, or is it just too weird to watch? Drop a comment below and let's get a conversation going. Thank you for watching, hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, stay groovy.